Staff Sergeant David Mitchell had reviewed security logs hundreds of times. It was part of the job. Tedious, yes, but necessary. The digital systems tracked every door access, every camera feed, every movement through the royal residences and hospitals. Most days the patterns were predictable, expected. Today, something was off. He'd been scrolling through the hospital wing's activity reports when he noticed it. A gap, not a system failure. Those showed differently. This was deliberate. Files that should have been there simply weren't. 42 entries, all deleted, all from the same 6-hour window 3 weeks ago. The night Princess Kate was admitted. Mitchell stopped scrolling. His cursor hovered over the deletion timestamp. 3:17 in the morning. Someone had accessed the system in the middle of the night and removed nearly 6 hours of security footage from the hospital wing hallway cameras. But before we continue, make sure you hit subscribe on Crown Watch. Drop a comment below where you're watching from. Now, back to what Mitchell discovered next. He leaned closer to the screen. The hospital wing wasn't like other areas. Privacy protocols were strict. No cameras inside rooms, ever. But hallways were monitored continuously. Fire regulations required it. Safety protocols demanded it. Those files should have been there. They weren't. Mitchell had served as a royal guard for 8 years. Before that, multiple deployments overseas. He knew what normal looked like. This wasn't normal. He pulled up the access logs. Every deletion left a digital signature. Every action on the security system was tracked. The person who deleted those files had used Tier 3 administrative clearance. That wasn't standard guard access. That was senior staff, palace officials, high-ranking personnel only. His phone buzzed, routine check-in from his supervisor. Mitchell sent back the standard response, all clear. But his eyes stayed fixed on the screen. The timing bothered him most. 3 in the morning. Who was reviewing security footage at that hour? And why delete it? He pulled up the hospital wing's access roster from that night. The list was short. Family only, by Princess Kate's specific request. The public statement had been clear. Princess Catherine was receiving treatment for a planned medical procedure. Privacy requested. Limited visitors. Mitchell cross-referenced the roster with the deletion timestamp. His jaw tightened. The person who deleted the footage had also been present in the hospital wing that night. Not just present. According to the remaining access records, they'd entered the wing at 3:42 a.m., stayed until nearly 6 a.m., then, 17 minutes after leaving, accessed the security system and wiped the evidence of their visit. Mitchell sat back in his chair. The office around him was quiet. Just the hum of computers and distant footsteps in the corridor. He'd been running this audit as part of a routine system. Check. Looking for technical glitches, outdated protocols, the usual administrative tasks. He hadn't expected to find this. His training said, report it up the chain. File a discrepancy notice. Let the system handle it. But something in his gut said that wouldn't work. Not this time. Whoever deleted those files had the clearance to do it. Had the knowledge to do it. Probably had the authority to make a report disappear. He needed more information first. Mitchell pulled out his notebook. Old school, but secure. He wrote down the timeline. Kate admitted to hospital wing at 6:30 p.m. Limited visitor protocol in effect. Deletion occurred at 3:17 a.m. Access logs showed someone entering at 3:42 a.m. The math didn't add up. Why delete footage before you arrived? Unless there was more than one visit. Mitchell's fingers moved across the keyboard. He pulled up the system's backup protocols. The hospital wing had redundancy measures. Shadow backups, kept on a separate server, security requirement. Even if someone deleted the primary files, the backups preserved everything for 90 days before automatic purge. He found what he was looking for. The shadow backup system, still intact. But accessing it required authorization. Mitchell's clearance level wasn't high enough. He'd need help. The kind of help that meant bringing someone else into this. Someone he could trust. He thought about who had been turned away from visiting during those 6 hours. Who had tried to see Princess Kate and been told no. Princess Charlotte. Mitchell had been on shift that afternoon, the day after Kate's admission. He'd seen Charlotte walk toward the hospital wing 3 separate times. Small, determined, still in her school uniform. Each time she'd been stopped at the security checkpoint. Each time told the same thing. Your mother is resting. Come back tomorrow. But Mitchell had wondered about that. Kate's children visited all the time. George, Charlotte, Louis. They were family. If Kate was resting, surely she'd want to see them when she woke up, unless someone was making sure she didn't. Mitchell closed his notebook. He needed those backup files, but he couldn't access them alone. He picked up his phone and scrolled through his contacts. Marcus Webb, Senior Security Systems Analyst. They'd worked together before. Webb was thorough, careful. Most importantly, Webb reported directly to the Royal Household's Technical Division, not the Palace Guard Command. Different chain entirely. Mitchell sent a simple message. Need your eyes on something. Hospital wing security discrepancy. Can you meet? The response came back within minutes. My office. 20 minutes. Mitchell stood up, logged out of his terminal, and headed for the door. He didn't know exactly what he was walking into, but he knew enough to realize this wasn't a simple technical error. Someone powerful had tried to hide something, and Mitchell was about to find out what. What he was about to discover would shake the foundations of the royal family. But first, he had to convince Marcus Webb that recovering deleted security files was worth the risk. Marcus Webb's office was tucked away in the technical wing of the palace complex. No windows, just servers, monitors, and the constant hum of cooling fans. Webb himself was in his late 40s, methodical, precise. The kind of person who believed computers didn't lie. People did. Mitchell closed the door behind him. Show me, Webb said. No pleasantries. Just straight to work. Mitchell pulled out his notebook and laid out the timeline. Webb listened, his expression unchanging. When Mitchell finished, Webb turned to his keyboard. You're talking about the hospital wing from 3 weeks ago. The night Princess Kate was admitted. Yes. Webb's fingers moved across the keys. Lines of data filled the screen. He pulled up the primary security logs first. The gap was obvious even to him. 42 missing entries over a 6-hour period. Someone deleted these, Webb said. It wasn't a question. Tier 3 administrative access, Mitchell confirmed. Middle of the night, after they'd left the wing. Webb pulled up the shadow backup system. His clearance opened the files immediately. The screen populated with recovered data, timestamps, camera feeds, access records, everything the primary system had lost. Mitchell leaned forward. The files were all there, every one of them. Webb opened the first entry. Hallway camera footage from 3:42 a.m. The angle showed the entrance to the hospital wing's private corridor, the section reserved for royal family members only. A figure entered frame. Queen Camilla. She walked briskly, purposefully, no hesitation, past the security checkpoint, down the corridor toward the private rooms. The timestamp confirmed it, 3:42 a.m. Webb opened the next file, 4:17 a.m. The same corridor. Camilla was still there, this time leaving one room, entering another. The camera angle didn't show which rooms, but the wing only had 3 private suites. Kate's was the furthest down. Mitchell's hands were steady, but his mind was racing. Keep going, he said quietly. Webb opened more files. Each one told the same story. Camilla had been in that wing for hours. Not a brief visit, not a quick check. Hours, moving between rooms. At one point, standing in the corridor making a phone call. The camera didn't record audio, but her body language was tense, defensive. Then, at 5:43 a.m., something changed. Another figure appeared on the camera. Small, wearing a school uniform. Princess Charlotte. Mitchell's chest tightened. Charlotte walked down the corridor slowly, uncertain, like she wasn't sure she was allowed to be there. She reached the end of the hall, the door to her mother's suite. Her hand lifted to knock. Before she could, Camilla appeared. The angle showed her stepping out from an adjacent room. She moved quickly, positioned herself between Charlotte and the door. Webb zoomed in on the timestamp. 5:47 a.m. The footage showed Charlotte stepping back. Camilla was speaking, gesturing. Charlotte's shoulders slumped. She turned around, walked back down the corridor the way she came. She didn't look back. Camilla watched her leave, then returned to Kate's suite. Mitchell felt something cold settle in his stomach. "Is there more?" he asked. Webb scrolled through the files. 2 more entries. Camilla leaving at 5:59 a.m., then Charlotte returning at 7:20 a.m. This time she's with Prince William. The final footage showed William and Charlotte walking together, William's hand on his daughter's shoulder. They reached Kate's door. William knocked. The door opened. They went inside. No one stopped them. Webb closed the files. He turned to face Mitchell. "Someone tried to erase evidence of what's happened that night," Webb said carefully. "Queen Camilla was in the hospital wing for over 2 hours, during a time when Princess Kate had requested no visitors. Princess Charlotte was turned away, and 17 minutes after Camilla left, someone with high-level clearance deleted all the security footage." "Can you trace who deleted the files?" Mitchell asked. Webb pulled up the access logs. He stared at the screen for a long moment. "The deletion was authorized by an account registered to the Queen Consort's private office," Webb said finally. "The specific user ID is encrypted, but the authorization came from that division." Mitchell nodded slowly. He'd suspected, but seeing the confirmation was different. "Can you recover all the files?" he asked. "Everything from that night?" "Already done," Webb said. "Shadow backups are complete. I can generate a full report. Timestamps, access logs, video footage, everything. How long until someone notices you accessed this?" Webb smiled faintly. "My job is system maintenance. I access shadow backups all the time. No one will notice, not unless they're specifically watching for it. And if they are, then we'll know someone's very interested in keeping this hidden." Mitchell stood up. He needed to think, needed to figure out what to do with this information. The evidence was clear. Camilla had violated Kate's privacy request, had turned Charlotte away, had then deleted the proof. But going public with this would be catastrophic. The press would destroy the family, the palace would close ranks, and Mitchell would likely find himself transferred to the outer edges of Scotland before he could blink. He needed someone who could act on this information, someone with the authority to demand answers, someone who would prioritize Kate and Charlotte over palace politics. "Prince William." "Can you make copies?" Mitchell asked. "Secure copies, untraceable." "Already did," Webb said. He held up a small encrypted drive. "Everything's here, logged and dated. If someone tries to delete the shadow backups now, we'll still have proof." Mitchell took the drive. It was small, lightweight, the kind of thing you could slip in a pocket and forget about. Except this small drive contained evidence that could tear the royal family apart. "What are you going to do with it?" Webb asked. Mitchell met his eyes. "What I'm supposed to do. Protect the family. Even if the threat comes from inside? Especially then?" Webb nodded. He understood. They both did. This wasn't about politics, wasn't about taking sides. It was about a child who'd been turned away from her mother when she needed her most. About a woman whose privacy had been violated while she was vulnerable. About someone with power using that power in ways that hurt others. Mitchell left Webb's office with the encrypted drive in his pocket and a decision crystallizing in his mind. He couldn't go through normal channels, couldn't file a standard report. This required going directly to someone who would act, someone who would put family above everything else. He needed to reach Prince William, privately, quickly, before whoever deleted those files realized the shadow backups still existed. But accessing William directly wasn't simple. The prince had layers of protection, private secretaries, appointment schedules, security protocols. Mitchell was just a guard, just a sergeant doing his job. He'd need a way in. Mitchell walked back to his quarters. His mind was already working through the problem. Who did he know with access to William's inner circle? Who would take him seriously? Then he remembered. Captain Richard Wells, commander of the Windsor security detail. Wells had been with the family for 20 years, had William's trust, had access when needed. More importantly, Wells had a reputation for doing what was right, even when it wasn't easy. Mitchell had worked under Wells 3 years ago during a security review. They'd gotten along, mutual respect. Wells knew Mitchell was solid, reliable, not prone to drama or exaggeration. If Mitchell brought this to Wells, Wells would listen. And if Wells believed it was serious, he'd get it to William. Mitchell checked his watch. 4:30 in the afternoon. Wells would still be in his office. End of shift briefings. Mitchell could catch him before he left for the day. He grabbed his notebook, made sure the encrypted drive was secure in his pocket, and headed out. The corridor outside was busy. Guards changing shifts. Administrative staff heading home. The usual. Late afternoon. Movement. No one paid Mitchell any attention. Just another guard finishing his duties. But inside, his heart was pounding. What he was about to do violated protocol in every possible way. Going over heads, bypassing chains of command, bringing sensitive information directly to royal family members without authorization. If he was wrong, his career was over. But if he was right and did nothing, a child would continue being hurt. A woman's privacy would remain violated, and whoever deleted those files would know they could get away with it. Mitchell had made his choice the moment he saw Charlotte turn away from her mother's door. Some things mattered more than protocol. He reached Wells's office. The door was half open. Wells was inside, reviewing paperwork. Late 50s, grey hair, the kind of presence that commanded respect without demanding it. Mitchell knocked. Wells looked up. Recognition flickered across his face. "Mitchell, what can I do for you?" Mitchell stepped inside and closed the door behind him. He pulled out his notebook. "Sir, I need to show you something. It's about Princess Kate and Princess Charlotte, and I think Prince William needs to see it immediately." Wells set down his paperwork. His expression shifted, became focused. "Go on." Mitchell laid out everything. The deleted files, the shadow backups, the timeline, Charlotte being turned away, Camilla's presence for hours during requested privacy, the deletion authorized from the Queen Consort's office. Wells listened without interrupting. When Mitchell finished, Wells was silent for a long moment. "You have proof of all this?" Wells asked finally. Mitchell pulled out the encrypted drive. Everything. Video footage, access logs, timestamps. Marcus Webb from Technical Division can verify the authenticity. Wells took the drive, held it, looked at Mitchell. "You understand what you're bringing me?" "Yes, sir." "If this is accurate, you're accusing the Queen Consort of deliberately violating royal medical privacy protocols and manipulating security systems to hide it." "I'm reporting what the evidence shows, sir. What happens after that is above my level." Wells nodded slowly. He respected that. Mitchell wasn't making accusations, just presenting facts, letting others draw conclusions. "Why not report this through normal channels?" "Because the deletion was authorized from a high-level account, sir. If I report it through normal channels, Someone in that chain might make it disappear, the same way the original footage disappeared. So you're bringing it to me? I'm bringing it to someone who can get it to Prince William. Sir, Princess Charlotte tried to see her mother and was turned away. Multiple times. That little girl thought she'd done something wrong. Thought that's why she couldn't see her mum. I watched her walk away from that door looking confused and hurt. If there's evidence that explains what really happened, Prince William deserves to know. Wells stood up. He walked to his window, looked out over the grounds. When he turned back, his decision was made. I can get this to Prince William, but it has to be done carefully. The right way. Are you prepared for the consequences? Of doing this, or of not doing it? Wells smiled faintly. Good answer. Give me until tomorrow morning. I'll arrange a meeting. Private. You, me, and Prince William. You'll present what you found. He'll decide what to do next. Thank you, sir. Don't thank me yet. If this evidence is real, and it leads where I think it leads, things are going to get complicated very quickly. Mitchell understood, but complicated was better than wrong. He left Wells's office feeling lighter. The decision was made. The evidence was moving up the chain. Tomorrow, Prince William would see what really happened that night. Tomorrow, Charlotte would get answers. Tomorrow, Kate's privacy violation would be addressed. What Mitchell didn't know yet was how William would react when he saw his daughter being turned away from her mother's door. How the evidence would catalyze something that had been building for months. How one deleted security file would expose fractures in the royal family that had been carefully hidden from public view. But tomorrow would reveal all of that. Tonight, Mitchell went home, ate a simple dinner, and tried to sleep. His conscience was clear. He'd done his duty. The rest was out of his hands. In his study across town, Captain Wells reviewed the encrypted files, watched the footage, saw Charlotte's small figure walking away, saw Camilla's deliberate interference, saw the timeline of deleted evidence. Wells picked up his phone and sent a single encrypted message to Prince William's private secretary. Need urgent meeting. Tomorrow morning, before public schedule. Regarding Princess Charlotte and hospital wing incident. Time-sensitive security matter. Wells. The response came back within minutes. 8 a.m. Private study. Confirmed. Wells set down his phone. He'd served the royal family for 2 decades, had seen palace dramas come and go, had navigated delicate situations that would have destroyed lesser institutions. But this felt different. This was about a child, about trust, about family protecting family. And Wells knew William well enough to predict what would happen once the prince saw this evidence. There would be consequences, swift ones, final ones. Tomorrow would change everything. 8 o'clock the next morning arrived cold and grey, the kind of English morning where mist clung to the ground and the palace felt suspended between night and day. Captain Wells arrived at Prince William's private study 7 minutes early. Mitchell was already there, waiting in the corridor, quiet, composed. The encrypted drive in his jacket pocket. Wells nodded to him. No words needed. They both understood what was about to happen. The door opened precisely at 8. Prince William's private secretary, Jonathan Pierce, showed them in. The study was smaller than people might expect. Personal. Books lining the walls. Family photographs on the desk. A room for work, not ceremony. William stood by the window, looking out over the grounds. He turned when they entered. His expression was neutral, professional, but Wells had known him long enough to see the tension in his shoulders. William knew this meeting wasn't routine. Captain Wells, Sergeant Mitchell. William gestured to the chairs. Please, sit. They did. Pierce closed the doctor and took a position by the wall, witness and record keeper. These private meetings were always documented, even when they weren't officially recorded. William sat across from them. His attention focused entirely on Mitchell. Captain Wells said this concerns my daughter. And the hospital wing. I'm listening. Mitchell had rehearsed this moment in his mind a dozen times, but sitting across from the future king, about to present evidence against the current queen consort, every word suddenly felt weighted, heavy. He pulled out the encrypted drive. Your Highness, 3 weeks ago I was conducting a routine security audit. I discovered that 42 security files from the hospital wing had been deleted, all from the night Princess Kate was admitted. The deletion occurred at 3:17 in the morning, using high-level administrative clearance. William's expression didn't change, but his eyes sharpened. Deleted, he repeated. Yes, sir. I worked with our technical division to recover the files from shadow backups. What we found... Mitchell paused, chose his words carefully. Your Highness, I believe you need to see this yourself. William reached for the drive. Mitchell handed it over. Wells stood and moved to William's computer, connecting the drive to the secure system. The screen populated with files. The footage is from the hallway cameras, Mitchell explained. Not inside rooms. Medical privacy was maintained, but the hallways show who entered the wing, when they arrived, and how long they stayed. William opened the first file. The timestamp appeared, 3:42 a.m. The corridors, then Camilla entering frame. William watched in silence. His face revealed nothing, but his hands gripped the armrests slightly tighter. Wells opened the next file, 4:17 a.m. Camilla still present, moving between rooms. Then, the next, 5:43 a.m. Charlotte appeared on screen. William leaned forward. Mitchell saw it. The shift in his posture. The way. William's jaw tightened when Charlotte walked down that corridor. Small, uncertain, approaching her mother's door. Then Camilla stepping out, intercepting her. Charlotte backing away, turning. Walking back down the corridor with her shoulders slumped. William didn't move, didn't speak, just watched his daughter walk away. Wells opened the final file, 7:20 a.m. William himself walking with Charlotte, this time entering Kate's room successfully. No one stopping them. The footage ended. The study was silent. William sat back slowly. His eyes remained fixed on the blank screen where Charlotte's image had been. My daughter, he said quietly, tried to visit her mother and was turned away. Yes, sir, Mitchell confirmed. The timestamp shows she attempted to enter at 5:47 a.m. She was prevented from doing so by Camilla. The footage shows the Queen Consort positioning herself between Princess Charlotte and the door to Princess Kate's suite. Yes, sir. William's fingers drummed once against the armrest. The only outward sign of emotion. Kate specifically requested privacy that night, William said. His voice was measured, controlled. No visitors, family only when requested. I was informed of this directly. The access logs confirm that protocol, Your Highness, Wells added. Princess Kate's request was filed with security at 6:45 p.m. All staff were notified. Yet, Camilla was there for over 2 hours. 2 hours and 17 minutes, sir, from 3:42 a.m. until 5:59 a.m. William stood, walked to the window, looked out at nothing. Show me the deletion logs, he said. Wells pulled up the access records. The screen showed the deletion timestamp, 3:17 a.m. Authorization code from the Queen Consort's private office. 17 minutes after leaving the hospital wing, William observed, someone deleted the evidence of being there. The technical analysis confirms the deletion was deliberate. Your Highness, Mitchell said. Not a system error, not an accident. Manual deletion, using administrative access. William turned from the window. His expression was perfectly composed. But Wells had served him long enough to recognize what that composure meant. William wasn't calm. He was containing fury. Sergeant Mitchell, William said, when you discovered this, why didn't you report it through standard security channels? Mitchell had expected this question. Sir, the deletion was authorized from a high-level account. I was concerned that reporting through normal channels might result in the information being suppressed. Given that Princess Charlotte was directly affected, I felt you should be informed immediately. You broke protocol. Yes, sir, I did. Why? Mitchell met his eyes. Because I watched your daughter try to see her mother 3 times that day. Each time she was told to come back tomorrow. She looked confused, hurt, like she thought she'd done something wrong. When I found evidence that might explain why, I believed you deserved to know. Sir, I understand if there are consequences for going outside the chain of command, but I'd make the same choice again. William nodded slowly. He respected that honesty, even when it was uncomfortable. Captain Wells, your assessment? Wells straightened. The evidence is authentic, sir. I've reviewed it thoroughly. The timeline is clear. The deletion was deliberate. Princess Charlotte was prevented from seeing her mother during a time when she reasonably expected access, and someone attempted to erase proof that any of this occurred. William walked back to his desk, sat down, looked at the screen showing Camilla's authorization code. I need to speak with Kate, he said. Before I do anything else, she needs to know what happened. Of course, Your Highness, Wells agreed. And Charlotte, my daughter thinks she did something wrong. That needs to be corrected immediately. Yes, sir. William's fingers touched the desk. Once, twice. A small movement, but Mitchell recognized it. Decision made. Captain Wells, I need you to compile a complete report. Every file, every timestamp, every access log. I want documentation of exactly what occurred that night. Formal, official, suitable for royal household review. I'll have it ready by this afternoon, sir. Sergeant Mitchell, you're to continue your regular duties. You've done nothing wrong. I want that clearly understood. You reported a security anomaly through appropriate channels when you brought it to Captain Wells. That's exactly what you should have done. Thank you, sir. Don't thank me yet. William's eyes were cold. What you've uncovered is going to have consequences. Significant ones. There will be an investigation. There will be questions. You may be called to testify about what you found. Are you prepared for that? Yes, Your Highness. Good. William stood. The meeting was ending. Gentlemen, I appreciate your diligence and your discretion. This information stays between us until I've had time to address it properly. Is that clear? Perfectly clear, sir, Wells confirmed. Mitchell nodded. Understood, Your Highness. They left William alone in his study, the encrypted drive still connected to his computer, the footage frozen on the screen, Charlotte's small figure walking away from her mother's door. William sat back down, opened the files again, watched the entire sequence once more. This time, he didn't maintain his composure. This time, his hands formed fists, his jaw clenched. His wife had requested privacy, had been vulnerable, had needed rest and space. Camilla had ignored that, had entered Kate's wing repeatedly, had stayed for hours, and when Charlotte, his daughter, had tried to see her mother, Camilla had stopped her, then deleted the proof. William picked up his phone, sent a message out to Kate's private number. Need to talk. Important. When you're available. The response came quickly. I'm awake. Come now if you need to. William stood, gathered the evidence, walked through the palace corridors to Kate's apartments. She'd been recovering at home for the past 2 weeks. Slowly regaining strength. Doctor's orders to rest, limited schedule, family time prioritized. He found her in the morning room, sunlight streaming through windows. She looked better than she had. Color returning, but still tired, still healing. She saw his expression immediately. What's wrong? William sat beside her, opened his laptop. I need to show you something from the night you were in hospital. He played the footage, all of it. Kate watched in silence. Her expression shifted, confusion, then realization, then anger. When Charlotte appeared on screen, Kate's hand moved to her mouth. "She tried to visit me," Kate whispered. "3 times that day, according to Mitchell. Each time she was told you were resting." Kate watched Charlotte walk away, watched her daughter's shoulders slump, watched the confusion in her small frame. "She asked me later why I didn't want to see her," Kate said quietly. "I told her I didn't know what she meant. I thought she'd misunderstood something, but she hadn't. Someone really did turn her away. Camilla was in your wing for over 2 hours, during the time you'd requested privacy." Kate's eyes were fixed on the screen. "I remember waking up several times that night. I thought I heard voices, movement, but I was medicated. I assumed it was nurses, medical staff. The access logs show it wasn't." Kate closed the laptop. She was quiet for a long moment. When she spoke, her voice was steady, controlled, but William heard the steel underneath. "My daughter thought I rejected her, that I didn't want to see her when I was unwell. She's been quieter since then, more hesitant. I noticed it, but I didn't understand why." "I'm going to address this," William said. "Today." "How?" "By presenting the evidence and asking for an explanation. If there's a reasonable one, fine. If there isn't—" He didn't finish the sentence. Didn't need to. Kate nodded. "Charlotte needs to know it wasn't her fault. That needs to happen immediately." "I'll talk to her this morning." "We'll talk to her," Kate corrected. "Together." They found Charlotte in the schoolroom. Morning lessons. She looked up when they entered, immediately concerned. Both parents arriving together during lessons meant something was wrong. "Mummy? Papa?" William knelt down to her level. Kate sat beside him. "Darling, we need to talk to you about something," William said gently. "About when Mummy was in hospital. Do you remember trying to visit her?" Charlotte's face fell. She looked down. "I'm sorry. I know I wasn't supposed to—" "No," Kate interrupted. "Charlotte, look at me." Charlotte looked up. Her eyes were uncertain. "You did nothing wrong," Kate said firmly. "Nothing. Do you understand? I wanted to see you. Very much. But someone told you I was sleeping. Someone said, you couldn't come in." Charlotte nodded slowly. "The lady. She said you needed rest, that I should come back tomorrow, but I wanted to make sure you were okay." "I know you did, darling, and I'm so sorry that happened." Kate pulled her close. "You should have been allowed to see me. The person who told you to leave was wrong. Not you. Never you." William watched his daughter's expression shift. Relief. Confusion fading. The quiet tension she'd been carrying for weeks starting to ease. "So I didn't do something bad?" Charlotte asked quietly. "No," William said. "You did exactly what you should have done. You wanted to see your mum. That's what family does. We look after each other." Charlotte hugged Kate tightly. Kate held her, looked at William over their daughter's head. The message was clear. This needed to be resolved. Today. William spent the next 2 hours preparing. Captain Wells delivered the complete report. Every file, every timestamp, every detail documented formally. The kind of report that couldn't be dismissed or ignored. William reviewed it thoroughly, made notes, cross-referenced timelines, built his case the way he'd been trained. Methodically, carefully, leaving no room for deflection. At 2:30 in the afternoon, he sent a message to Camilla's private secretary. "Need to meet. Today, 4 o'clock. My study. Private. Urgent." He didn't wait for negotiation, didn't offer alternatives, just stated the requirement. The response came back within minutes. "Confirmed, 4 p.m. William spent the remaining hour thinking about how to approach this. He'd dealt with difficult family conversations before. The institution demanded it, but this was different. This involved his wife's privacy, his daughter's well-being. Trust broken in ways that couldn't be ignored. He wouldn't yell, wouldn't lose control. That wasn't how this worked. Royal training meant maintaining composure, even when fury burned underneath, especially then. But he would be clear, direct, final. At 3:55, William arranged the evidence on his desk. Laptop open, report printed, timeline visible, everything organized, professional. At precisely 4 o'clock, Camilla arrived. She entered with her usual confidence. Smiled. The gesture didn't quite reach her eyes, but the attempt was there. "William, your message sounded urgent. Is everything all right?" William gestured to the chair across from him. "Sit down, please." She did. Her expression shifted slightly. Reading the room, the formal setting, William's demeanor. Something was wrong. "I need to discuss something with you," William said. His voice was level, calm. "It concerns Kate and Charlotte and events from 3 weeks ago." Camilla's hand moved to her necklace. Subtle, brief. "Oh?" William turned his laptop screen toward her, pressed play. The footage began. 3:42 a.m. Camilla entering the hospital wing. Her face didn't change, but her posture stiffened, just slightly. William let the footage play, showed every file, every timestamp. Camilla present for hours, Charlotte being turned away, the deletion logs. When it finished, silence filled the study. "I'd like you to explain this," William said quietly. Camilla's smile returned, forced, careful. "I think there's been some misunderstanding." "No misunderstanding. The footage is clear. You were in Kate's hospital wing for over 2 hours, during a time when she specifically requested no visitors. You turned Charlotte away when she tried to see her mother, and someone using access authorized by your office deleted the security footage 17 minutes after you left." Camilla's hand touched her necklace again. "William, I was simply checking on Catherine, as family should. I was concerned. Kate requested privacy. You were informed of this." "Yes, but I thought—" "What you thought doesn't matter." William's voice remained calm, but the steel underneath was unmistakable. "Kate made a clear request. You ignored it. I was trying to help." William tapped a key on his laptop. Another file opened. The footage of Charlotte approaching the door, Camilla intercepting her. "Explain that," William said. "My daughter tried to visit her mother. You stopped her. Why?" Camilla's smile faded. She shifted in her chair. "Charlotte came very early. I didn't think Catherine would be awake." "So you made that decision, without consulting me, without asking Kate. You decided my daughter couldn't see her mother." "I was trying to protect Catherine's rest. By turning away her daughter, Charlotte thought she'd done something wrong. She asked Kate later why she wasn't allowed to visit. Do you understand what that did to her?" Camilla's face flushed slightly. "That certainly wasn't my intention." "Your intention doesn't matter. The result matters. My daughter was hurt. My wife's privacy was violated, and someone tried to delete the evidence." William pulled up the access logs, showed her the deletion, timestamp, the authorization code. "This deletion was made using credentials from your office, 17 minutes after you left the hospital wing. Every file showing your presence. Gone. Or so someone thought. I don't manage the technical systems personally, but someone in your office does. Someone with your authorization. Someone who knew exactly which files to delete and when." Camilla was quiet, her defenses crumbling. Each explanation met with evidence that contradicted it. William leaned forward. His voice dropped. Quieter, more dangerous. "Kate asked for privacy. You ignored that. Charlotte tried to see her mother. You prevented it. Evidence was deleted. And now you're sitting here, trying to convince me it was all a misunderstanding." "William, I understand you're upset. I'm not upset. I'm telling you what's going to happen next." Camilla stilled. The shift in his tone registered. "You're going to stay away from Kate. Completely. No visits. No calls. No messages. Through staff. If Kate wants to contact you, that's her choice, but you don't initiate. Clear? William, I'm not finished. You're going to stay away from my children unless Kate or I are present. No private time, no separate visits, no opportunities for situations like this to happen again. You can't seriously. I'm not making a request. William's eyes were cold. I'm telling you what's happening. There will be a formal review of hospital wing security protocols. Your access to certain areas will be restricted pending that review. And if anyone attempts to interfere with or delete security footage again, there will be immediate consequences. Legal ones. Camilla's composure cracked. This is completely unreasonable. I'm being treated like someone who violated my wife's privacy and hurt my daughter. Yes, you are. The silence that followed was absolute. Camilla stood. Her hands shook slightly. I'll be speaking to Charles about this. Please do. I'll be speaking to him as well, with this evidence. I suspect his response will be similar to mine. She walked to the door, stopped, turned back. I was trying to help, she said quietly. No, William replied. You were trying to be involved, to have access, to be present in a situation where you weren't wanted or needed, and when you were discovered, you tried to hide it. That's not help. That's something else entirely. Camilla left without another word. William sat back in his chair. His hands were steady, his expression calm. But inside, his heart was pounding. He'd just effectively banished the Queen Consort from his family's private life. The consequences would be significant. Palace politics would explode. The press would eventually catch wind. Charles would be caught between his wife and his son. But William didn't care about any of that. His daughter had been hurt, his wife violated, trust broken. Some things mattered more than politics. The meeting with Camilla ended at 4:37 in the afternoon. William remained in his study for another 20 minutes, not moving, just thinking, processing what he'd done. The line he'd crossed. He'd effectively excluded the Queen Consort from his family's private life, had threatened formal investigations, had made demands that would reverberate through the palace for months. But when he thought about Charlotte's face, asking if she'd done something wrong, the decision solidified. Some lines couldn't be uncrossed. Some violations couldn't be forgiven with apologies and excuses. His phone buzzed, a message from Charles's private secretary. His Majesty requests a meeting at your earliest convenience. That hadn't taken long. Camilla had clearly gone straight to Charles. William expected nothing less. He responded immediately. Available now. Shall I come to you? King's study. He's waiting. William gathered the evidence, the laptop, the printed report, the timeline. He walked through the palace corridors with purpose. Staff noticed. Conversations paused. Something significant was happening. Palace staff always knew when the atmosphere shifted. Charles's study was larger than William's. More formal, heavy furniture, oil paintings, the weight of monarchy visible in every detail. Charles stood by the fireplace. His expression was carefully neutral. William recognized that look, his father processing information, trying to understand all angles before reacting. William, come in. Close the door. William did. Set the laptop on the desk. Camilla just left here, Charles said carefully. She's quite upset. Says you've made serious accusations, restricted her access to your family, threatened investigations. I did, William confirmed. Would you like to see why? Charles gestured to the desk. Show me. William opened the laptop, played the footage, all of it, the timeline. Charlotte being turned away, the deletion logs. He presented it the same way he'd presented it to Camilla, methodically, professionally, letting the evidence speak. Charles watched in silence. His expression shifted as the footage progressed. Confusion, then understanding, then something harder to read. When it finished, Charles was quiet for a long moment. Kate requested privacy, he he said finally. She did, explicitly. It's documented with hospital security. And Camilla was there anyway, for over 2 hours, moving between rooms, making calls, acting as though Kate's request didn't apply to her. Charles moved to his desk, sat down, looked at the frozen image of Charlotte walking away from her mother's door. Charlotte tried to visit multiple times. Each time she was turned away. She thought Kate didn't want to see her. She's been carrying that for 3 weeks. Charles's jaw tightened. That's unacceptable. I agree. The deletion, was that Camilla? The authorization came from her office, someone with high-level access. The timing makes it clear. 17 minutes after leaving the hospital. Wing. The footage was erased, or someone tried to erase it. Charles leaned back in his chair. William could see him working through the implications. The politics, the optics, the family dynamics. What do you want me to do? Charles asked, finally. The question surprised William. He'd expected resistance, defense of Camilla, attempts to minimize or explain away the evidence. I want protections in place, William said. Kate's medical privacy is absolute. No one enters without explicit permission. Not staff, not family, no one. I want security protocols strengthened. I want access logs monitored, and I want it clear that deleting evidence results in immediate removal from position. Done, Charles said simply. William blinked. Done? Your wife deserves privacy. Your daughter deserves access to her mother. Those aren't negotiable. Charles's voice was firm. I'll speak with the household. New protocols will be implemented immediately. Anyone violating them answers to me directly. And Camilla? Charles was silent for a moment. The weight of kingship and marriage meeting, uncomfortable reality. I'll handle Camilla, but your restrictions stand. She doesn't approach Kate or the children without your explicit permission. She doesn't attend private family events unless you invite her. And if anything like this happens again, the consequences will be severe. William nodded slowly. He hadn't expected his father to side with him so completely. But Charles was looking at the evidence. At Charlotte walking away. At Kate's privacy violated. Sometimes being king meant making hard choices about family. There's something else, Charles said. The guard who discovered this. Mitchell. I want him commended. Officially. He broke protocol. Went outside the chain of command. He protected your family when someone with power was hurting them. That's exactly what we employ them to do. I want it noted in his record. And I want him reassigned to a position where his integrity is valued. William felt something ease in his chest. Thank you. Don't thank me. Thank him. He did something difficult because it was right. That deserves recognition. The final moments of this story are unforgettable. Stay with us until the end. Now here's what happened next. Charles stood, walked to the window, looked out at the same grounds William had looked at that morning. I'll speak with Camilla tonight, Charles said. She needs to understand this isn't about palace politics. It's about respecting boundaries, about recognizing when she's crossed lines that can't be uncrossed. Will she accept that? She'll have to, because the alternative is formal investigation, public scrutiny, questions about access and authority. I don't think she wants that. William understood. Charles was giving Camilla a choice. Accept the restrictions quietly, or face official review that would expose everything. It wasn't vindictive, just practical, the kind of decision that protected the institution while delivering consequences. Keep me informed, William said. If there are any further issues. There won't be, Charles interrupted. I'll make certain of that. William left his father's study feeling something he hadn't expected. Relief, support, the knowledge that he hadn't been wrong to act. The next morning, Captain Wells appeared at Mitchell's post. Mitchell was doing routine patrols, normal duties, trying not to think about what consequences might be coming. Mitchell, a word. They stepped into a private office. Wells closed the door. Prince William asked me to relay his thanks, Wells said. What you discovered, how you handled it, you did the right thing. Mitchell nodded. Is there going to be an investigation into the deletion? There's already been one. Concluded this morning. The person responsible for deleting the footage has been removed from their position. Effective immediately, new security protocols are being implemented, and you're being reassigned. Mitchell's stomach dropped. Sir? To the personal protection detail, direct royal family security. It's a promotion, Mitchell. Prince William specifically requested you. Mitchell stared. What? You showed integrity when it mattered. You protected Princess Charlotte when she needed it. That's exactly the kind of person we want close to the family. Report to your new assignment Monday morning. After Wells left, Mitchell sat alone for a moment. He'd expected punishment, transfer to distant posts, career setback. Instead, recognition, trust, advancement. He thought about Charlotte's small figure walking away from that door, about making the choice to report what he'd found, about doing the right thing even when it was difficult. Apparently, sometimes doing the right thing actually worked out. That afternoon, Kate asked to meet with Mitchell privately. William arranged it. Brief, informal, no ceremony. Kate received him in the morning room. Sunlight streaming through windows. She looked stronger than she had days before, recovering well. Sergeant Mitchell, thank you for coming. Your Highness, I wanted to thank you personally for what you discovered, for bringing it to William's attention. Mitchell stood at attention. I was just doing my job, ma'am. You were doing more than that. You saw something wrong and you reported it, even though it was complicated, even though it involved people with power. Kate's eyes were direct, honest. My daughter has been carrying guilt for 3 weeks because she thought I rejected her, because someone turned her away and she didn't understand why. What you did gave us answers, gave Charlotte clarity. That matters more than I can express. I'm glad I could help, ma'am. Charlotte wanted to thank you herself, but we thought that might be awkward, so she asked me to tell you something. Kate smiled slightly. She said to tell the nice guard that she knows now she didn't do anything wrong, and that she's grateful someone was looking out for her. Mitchell's throat tightened. He'd joined Royal Guard service to protect people, to serve something larger than himself. But this moment, knowing he'd actually helped a child understand she wasn't to blame, that mattered in ways he hadn't expected. Thank you for telling me, ma'am. That means a great deal. Kate stood, extended her hand. Mitchell shook it. Formal gesture, but the gratitude behind it was genuine. William tells me you're being reassigned to personal protection detail. Yes, ma'am, starting Monday. Good. We need people we can trust. People who understand that protecting family sometimes means difficult choices. I'm glad you'll be there. Mitchell left, feeling something had fundamentally shifted. He'd been a guard doing a job, following protocols, maintaining security through systems and procedures. Now he understood it was about more than that, about recognizing when humans needed protecting from things protocols couldn't anticipate, about choosing what mattered when rules and reality conflicted. The palace changes happened quickly, quietly, the way significant shifts always occurred behind closed doors. New security protocols were implemented within a week. All royal family members' medical privacy was now absolute. Access required explicit written permission, no exceptions. All security footage was monitored by independent review. Deletion logs were checked daily. Any anomalies reported immediately to senior household staff. Camilla's schedule was adjusted, subtly, no public announcements, just gradual reduction in private family events. Public appearances continued normally. State functions, official duties, but the informal family gatherings, the private dinners, the casual drop-ins, gone. The press noticed eventually. Articles appeared asking about family dynamics, speculation about tension between William and Camilla. Palace sources gave carefully worded responses. Scheduling, conflicts, different priorities. Everyone remains committed to their duties. None of it was untrue, just incomplete. Charlotte got her closure in the way children understand best. Time with her mother, unrestricted, natural. Kate made sure Charlotte knew she was always welcome, always wanted, that the confusion from weeks before was resolved. Slowly, Charlotte's quiet hesitation faded. Her confidence returned. She laughed more easily, relaxed into being a child again. Instead of worrying, she'd disappointed someone important. William watched this transformation and knew he'd made the right choice. Whatever palace politics resulted, whatever family tensions emerged, Charlotte's well-being mattered more. 3 weeks after the confrontation, Kate was fully recovered, back to her normal schedule. Public engagements resumed. The medical situation that had started everything was resolved. She and William were having breakfast when she brought it up. I've been thinking about what happened with Camilla, with Charlotte. William set down his tea. And I'm grateful you acted, but I've been wondering, how did it get to that point? How did someone feel entitled to ignore my explicit requests? William considered the question carefully. I think sometimes people with power forget boundaries apply to them. They see opportunities to be involved, to have influence, and they take them without considering consequences. Or considering who gets hurt. Exactly. Kate was quiet for a moment. Charlotte shouldn't have had to go through that. Shouldn't have spent 3 weeks thinking she'd done something wrong. She won't have to again. The protections are in place now. Because one guard noticed something wrong and decided to act against protocol, against hierarchy, because he thought my daughter mattered more than procedure. William nodded. Mitchell understood something important. Rules exist to protect people, but sometimes protecting people means going beyond the rules. Kate smiled slightly. I'm glad he's on our security detail now. We need more people who think like that. The conversation shifted to other topics. Schedules, the children's activities, normal family life resuming. But the truth of what Kate had said remained. One guard had noticed, had acted, had prioritized a child's well-being over career safety. And because of that choice, protections were strengthened. Boundaries were reinforced. A family was kept whole. 6 weeks after everything began, Mitchell was on his new rotation. Personal protection detail, different responsibilities. Closer access to the royal family, more trust required. He was standing post outside a private family event when Princess Charlotte walked by with Kate. Charlotte glanced at him. Recognition flickered. She whispered something to her mother. Kate nodded. Charlotte approached Mitchell. Excuse me, she said politely. Royal training even at her age. Your Highness. Are you the guard who helped? With the hospital? Mitchell glanced at Kate. She gave a slight nod. Permission to answer honestly. I am, Your Highness. Charlotte smiled, small but genuine. Thank you. My mummy told me what you did. You made sure I knew I didn't do anything wrong. You didn't do anything wrong, Your Highness. Not at all. I know that now. She paused, seemed to be considering something, then extended her hand the way she'd been taught for formal occasions. Thank you for looking after us. Mitchell shook her hand gently. It's my honor, Your Highness. Charlotte nodded, satisfied, then rejoined her mother. They continued down the corridor together. Kate looked back once, caught Mitchell's eye, mouthed 2 words, thank you. Mitchell returned to his post. The interaction had lasted less than a minute, but it crystallized everything he'd been trying to understand about duty, about service, about what it meant to actually protect people instead of just following procedures. Rules had their place. Protocols existed for good reasons. Chain of command kept systems functioning, but sometimes, in the space between rules and reality, someone had to make a choice, had to decide what mattered more, had to recognize that protecting people sometimes meant taking risks. Mitchell had made that choice, had reported what he found, despite uncertainty about consequences, had trusted that doing the right thing would matter more than doing the safe thing. He'd been correct. Elsewhere in the palace, Camilla was adjusting to her new reality. Restricted access, reduced invitations, the subtle but unmistakable message that boundaries now existed where they hadn't before. She'd tried to fight it initially, had made calls, had attempted to leverage relationships and influence. But Charles had been clear. The restrictions remained, non-negotiable. Eventually, she'd accepted it. Not happily, but pragmatically. Fighting would bring scrutiny, questions, potential exposure of what had happened that night. In the hospital wing, better to accept the quiet consequences than risk public ones. She maintained her public duties, state functions, official engagements. The visible work of royalty continued unchanged, but the private access, the informal influence, the sense of being central to family dynamics, gone. It was, in its way, a kind of justice, not dramatic, not public, just quiet removal of power that had been misused. Boundaries enforced through action rather than announcement. The palace moved forward. Schedules continued. Duties were fulfilled. The institution carried on as institutions do. But beneath the surface, something had shifted. A line had been drawn. A message sent. Family boundaries were real. Medical privacy was absolute. And those who violated trust faced consequences. True protection isn't just about following procedures. It's about recognizing when someone vulnerable needs defending, even when the threat comes from unexpected places, even when acting means risking your own position, even when the right choice isn't the safe choice. Staff Sergeant David Mitchell understood that, made the hard call, reported what he found despite uncertainty. And because one guard noticed something wrong and chose to act, a child understood she wasn't to blame. A woman's privacy was validated, protections were strengthened, and a family was kept whole. Sometimes the most important service happens in quiet moments. In decisions made alone, in choices between procedure and principle. Mitchell had chosen principle, and in doing so, had reminded everyone around him what truly protecting the royal family actually meant. If this story showed you the reality of protecting the royal family, make sure you're subscribed to Crown Watch. We share these untold stories from inside the palace every single day. Stories about the guards who serve. The moments that matter, the choices that define duty. Drop a comment. Would you have had the courage to report evidence directly to Prince William, knowing it could end your career? Would you have prioritized a child's well-being over following protocol? We want to hear your thoughts. These stories matter because they remind us that institutions are only as strong as the people who serve them with integrity. That power requires accountability. That boundaries exist for everyone, no matter their position. Tomorrow, we'll share another untold story. Another moment when someone had to choose between what was safe and what was right. Another glimpse into the real world behind palace walls. Until then, remember, true protection isn't about titles or positions. It's about recognizing what matters and having the courage to act. We'll see you in the next one.